Right now at 10, 3 people are dead, including a child, following a shooting and standoff last night in Baxter Springs. We'll have the latest from law enforcement. Plus, Bonne Terre officer Lane Burns is laid to rest in Carthage. Also, after nearly 50 years of business, a staple on Joplin's west side is closing its doors. And we'll have the latest on the crisis in Ukraine following President Biden's visit to Poland. You're watching the KOAM News at 10. It starts right now. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Warner. We begin tonight with new information on a story we first brought you last night. 3 people, including a child, are dead in Baxter Springs following an hours-long standoff with law enforcement. According to the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, around 7:14 last night, Baxter Springs police officers were called to 340 Wyandotte Avenue. The female caller told dispatch she needed help. When officers arrived, the woman exited the home and a male shot and killed her. She's been identified as 27-year-old Taylor Shutt. The shooter, 37-year-old Eli Crawford, went back into the home with their 2-year-old child. When Crawford returned to the home, he began shooting at law enforcement on scene, which included Cherokee County Sheriff's deputies. As he continued to shoot at law enforcement, additional help was called in from the Kansas Highway Patrol, the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, and the Joplin SWAT team. Officials say the assault lasted nearly 3.5 hours before an officer was able to return fire. When officers entered the home, Eli and the child were found dead inside. The officer who returned fire has been placed on administrative leave per department protocol. The investigation is ongoing and is being led by the KBI. Bonne Terre officer Lane Burns was laid to rest today in Carthage. Early Thursday morning, March 17th, 2 patrolmen were ambushed, sparking an exchange of gunfire at a Motel 6 an hour south of St. Louis in Bonne Terre. Officer Lane Burns was killed. Today, people lined the procession route to pay their final respects to Officer Burns. He is a Carthage native and graduated from Carthage High School in 2009. Weather today, nice, warm, sunny. Nick Kelly joining us.
Yeah, certainly warmer after we had a kind of a cold start this morning, Chris. So let me go ahead and pop up the numbers for you on top of our quiet look from 7th and Range Line. 39 degrees this morning, a bit of a cold start, but we did rebound nicely. Most of us around 59 degrees, but some of you, especially in northeast Oklahoma, did manage to sneak into the lower, if not mid-60s this afternoon. Those are numbers that we're all going to certainly aim for tomorrow. We just got to get past a quiet night and a bit of a cold night for some of you, with partly cloudy skies continuing to pass on through, but nothing immediately standing out on the surface map here. We just have a weak stationary front to the south and west, but I'm definitely watching this cold front out to the west. That's the one that's going to really shake things up by Tuesday and Wednesday. But in the short term, it's kind of a cold night for some of you. Mid-30s in our northern counties and southeastern Kansas, around 41 elsewhere. But everyone's going to warm up nicely throughout the day with a returning south wind. Highs around Joplin at 69, Chris. Everybody else mid-60s to about 70. We'll break down when we'll see our next chance for thunderstorms coming up in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Granny Schaefer's restaurant in Joplin on the west side will be closed after today. KOAM's Jalen Banks shares with us the last day of the beloved restaurant.
March 27th, 2022 is just another Sunday for most people. But for Steve Schaefer and others, it will mark the end of a 49-year run. Granny Schaefer's on West 7th Street in Joplin opened its doors one final time. The Joplin staple first opened on April 1st, 1973, and was founded by Steve's mother and father, David and Karen Schaefer, and has been serving the community ever since. Steve shared that the decision to close the restaurant was due in part to growing prices and inflation.
Market reports I watch. Well, one of the ones I watch is eggs, of something we can't beat out. Extra large eggs jumped 93 cents a dozen. They went up basically 50% in one move. That's a $600 one item extra cost on food the decision was made before that even came out.
Steve credits the success of the restaurant not to himself, the family, or even the food, but to those that supported it.
Like I said, it's been a good run. I've had opportunity to have great customers and great employees over the years, but it would never work without them. You can't have a business, especially a hospitality industry business, where you don't have great customers and great employees to go together, and they were why I was successful.
Steve says that since the announcement, the community has shown immense support, and when asked what that meant to him, he started to fight back tears.
It means everything in the world. So, makes it all worth it.
Celebrating the half-century success of Granny Schaefer's. In Joplin, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
The restaurant had such a turnout that they started running out of food. The City of Joplin is inviting the public to provide feedback on the city's solid waste master plan. City says it's in the initial stages of developing the plan and want residents' input to ensure its success. The discussions will include trash, recycling, and yard waste services in the city. An informational open house will be held this Wednesday, April the 6th, on the 5th floor of City Hall in the council chambers, and there are 2 times available, either 2 to 4 p.m. or 5 to 7 p.m. And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Alan Ensor served in the Navy during World War II aboard the USS Nashville, where he received a number of medals and commendations. His hometown, Taylor, Maryland, but he also resided in rural Newton County. We're proud to recognize Alan Ensor, tonight's four-state hero. And of course, if you want to learn more about other heroes, or if you've got one of your own you want to nominate, you can do that at any time at KOAMNewsNow.com. Still ahead, baby boomers might be the ones held most responsible for climate change. Baby boomers might be the ones held most responsible for climate change. That's according to a new study. Now, scientists at a university in Norway say baby boomers are the biggest contributors to climate change. Researchers surveyed older adults in 32 countries and found people over 60 accounted for 25% of greenhouse gas emissions in 2005, and it increased to 33% by 2015. The study says seniors use wealth to maintain high consumption and emit more greenhouse gases. Analysts found seniors in the U.S. and Australia generate the most emissions, twice the average European elder. A new study says the quality of the air your children take in could be causing a downturn in their mental health. Researchers at the University of Denver say ozone in air pollution could surge depression symptoms in children, even in areas with acceptable air quality standards. Scientists studied children ages 9 to 13 over 4 years and found those who lived in an area with high ozone levels showed a notable increase in depressive signs. The analysts say symptoms may include inflammation, persistent feelings of sadness, difficulty with concentration, sleep problems, and even suicidal thoughts. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is making a more strident request for weapons and military equipment his country's forces need to defend against Russia's devastating invasion. President Biden is back at the White House after his historic trip to Poland, where the final remarks of his Warsaw address took many by surprise. A White House official quickly walked back Mr. Biden's declaration that Russian President Vladimir Putin, quote, cannot remain in power, but just how those words may affect the war and efforts to end it remain unseen. CBS News correspondent Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
With the war in its second month, Ukraine's leader is renewing his plea for more military equipment to defend against invading Russian forces. President Volodymyr Zelensky called for tanks and planes from NATO, while asking if the West fears Moscow.
We have to give them everything they need to win this war, because we've made it clear we're not going to intervene directly, and I don't think we should at this point.
Since the start of Russia's attack on Ukraine, President Biden has said he doesn't want to escalate tensions out of concern it could spark a more wide-scale conflict. The president returned to the White House after his historic trip to Poland, where the closing remarks of his speech reverberated around the world.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
A White House official quickly walked back the president's statement, saying he was not talking about regime change. While the war presses on, firefighters in western Ukraine's biggest city, Lviv, worked in the aftermath of a Russian attack that set this oil facility on fire. Across Ukraine, thousands take shelter wherever they can, including the subways in the embattled nation's second-largest city, Kharkiv.
The trains are also used as shelters. You can see people are staying overnight inside the trains.
Here in Washington, protesters turned out for a large rally at the Lincoln Memorial to show they stand with Ukraine. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
A Kremlin spokesman said it's not for President Biden to say whether Russian President Vladimir Putin should stay in power. Later on the KOAM News at 10, there's another new #1 at the box office this weekend. We'll have the latest in our box office review.
Plus, while we stay quiet for tonight and tomorrow, we have some thunderstorm chances we'll discuss in the upcoming forecast. We'll get to it next. We kept chilly, but we kept quiet, thankfully, as we wrapped up the weekend for today. In fact, we're still looking good outside with our latest shot from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. Nice to see a quiet look to the casino grounds, not just at this point in time, but throughout the course of the entire evening. That's going to stay quiet for about another day or day and a half before we see our next storm system start to roll on in. But in the short term, we've seen some pretty good days overall. Highs back near 60 the other day, especially around Joplin. Upper 30s and lower 40s this morning before we went back into the upper 50s. But some of you in northeast Oklahoma managed to go into the lower, if not mid 60s before today was all said and done. In fact, we're still looking good from 7th and range line. Our latest look from the east side of Joplin still showing quiet skies, even with cloud cover coming and going. But that's all we're going to deal with as we go throughout the course of the night. And it is certainly quite cold, or certainly has been, to start this morning out. Upper 30s in our northern counties, around 40 across the rest of the region. But then temperatures warmed up nicely throughout the day. Mid to upper 50s across the heart of the area, and then those lower to middle 60s popping up in northeast Oklahoma. Then we saw the numbers turn cool fast throughout the course of the evening. In fact, the last check had some of us already in the lower 40s, but I think we'll drop back into the mid 30s to about the lower 40s before we hit sunrise tomorrow morning. At least we're just staying quiet under passing cloud cover across the entire four-state region. The radar echoes I can verify because I came home from St. Louis today. None of those rain echoes reached the ground, so the entire region stayed dry throughout the course of the day. At the surface, though, we have a stationary front parked south and west. That will come through on Tuesday to start the day out. That will get us into the 70s for highs. Then we got to deal with this cold front at the surface off the west coast and that upper level low. Those are the two key players that will drive up our thunderstorm chances come late Tuesday and going into Wednesday. But in the short term, look at this upper ridge paying us a quick visit. That will make sure we definitely trend warmer before tomorrow at the very least. But in the short term, again, we'll just deal with quiet skies, passing cloud cover throughout the night into Monday morning. Northwest of Joplin, you'll be, let's say, mid to upper 30s. Around the rest of the area, let's say 41 to start your Monday morning out. Then look at how fast everybody warms up throughout the day. Even at the coolest, mid 60s, they don't look bad for our northern counties, while everybody else will be in the upper 60s to lower 70s. I think Joplin starts at 41 in the morning, 58 by noon, and topping out near 69. I think we can do it with a good south wind, certainly during the afternoon at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Cloud cover is certainly on the increase going into Tuesday, but we keep it dry and we trend warmer. Again, mid, maybe upper 70s for some, before we have to keep an eye on the radar by 8 o'clock Tuesday evening. You can see these widely scattered storms popping up. They could certainly be strong to severe as they get going, but the question remains, will enough moisture be in place here to sustain these as they initially develop? This is something we'll keep a close eye on, but certainly going into late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, look at our rain and thunderstorm chances ramp up as we go into the middle of the week. We'll keep an eye on these storms because at the very least, we've got a low severe threat trying to hit the I-49 corridor, but mainly our corners of Kansas and Missouri, Oklahoma rather. From 8 o'clock Tuesday evening to about 4 a.m. Wednesday, a conditional low threat for tornadoes, a few of them at least, hail and high wind. But certainly, I think the bigger issue we'll have to deal with the system overall is the heavy rainfall, because in the short term, all the way through Wednesday afternoon, half an inch to an inch and a half, and I think the rain lingers throughout the rest of Wednesday, so that could push us between 1 to 2 inches before temperatures take a tumble on the backside of the system. 69 on Monday, 76 with an alert day for late in the day Tuesday, 65 early afternoon highs, Chris, early. I think I said that already. Then we'll drop into the 40s for the rest of Wednesday afternoon. Then we're going to really calm things down and stay mainly mild going into next weekend.
Yeah, and this first, decent look at potential for severe weather is an excellent reminder of two things. One, we're starting to move into severe weather season. And two, you need to have that Skywatch weather app because you've got everything you need right there ready to go should anything get out of hand.
Yeah, just search KOAM in the Apple App Store or Google Play. It's free, and you'll be set up in no time.
Absolutely. It's like having you guys in the palm of your hands.
Exactly.
So, Nick, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, the outdoor track and field season has begun. We're going to take a look at where Pitt State and Missouri Southern stand in the preseason coaches poll. Plus, it's the series finale between Fort Hays State and Pittsburgh State. Those highlights next.
This is the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. Pitt State baseball is 12-3 in MIAA play this season. Another conference win is up for grabs today. PSU closes out a series with Fort Hays State. The Gorillas dominated the series so far, winning 14-1 and 10-5. In the finale, Pitt down by 2, Cruz Aranda singles up the middle, Jordan Maxson scores. Later, 5th inning tie game, Garrett McGowan hits one to shallow left. Mason Hartman slides into home. Next batter, Maxson goes the same way. That brings McGowan in. Gorillas lead 4-2. Later, though, Fort Hays retakes the lead. It's 5-4 here. Hartman, though, draws a bases-loaded walk. That's the tying run. Bases still loaded. McGowan, he's the guy you want, all the way back to the wall in right. All 3 guys on base score. McGowan reaches second on the play, and Jordan Mendenhall finishes the job. He gets the save. Pitt State wins 8-5. Missouri Southern finishes up a series with Emporia State today. Southern won the first 2 games, but in the finale, they fall in extras 3-2. The Lions took a 2-0 lead in the 5th off an error and an RBI single from Henry Kuziak, but the Hornets came back to tie it up, and then they won it with a walk-off single in the 10th. So Southern moves to 9-7 in conference play. The outdoor track and field season is already underway. And on Friday, the MIAA released the coaches poll. Here's how the rankings shake out. On the men's side, no surprise here, unanimous decision. Pittsburgh State takes the top spot. The Gorillas are the defending outdoor champs, and they've won 7 of the last 9 MIAA outdoor championships. Missouri Southern tied for second place here last year. The men finished as the runners-up to Pitt State. The Gorillas lock up the first place spot on the women's side as well. In 2021, the Pitt State women finished 3rd at the outdoor championships, but they have won 5 of the last 6. They also lead the MIAA with 12 total outdoor titles. And just last month, they won the MIAA indoor championship. The Missouri Southern women are picked to finish 5th. Still ahead, Kansas aims to punch their ticket to the Final Four. The Jayhawks hit the floor against Miami, plus a look at those Final Four matchups. That's next. Welcome back to the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. Elite 8 games wrap up today in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The Jayhawks hit the floor in the earlier game today. It's Kansas and Miami fighting for a spot in the Final Four. First half, Christian Brown throws down the one-handed dunk. Later, Cameron McGusty hits the pull-up jumper. Hurricanes with a 6-point lead at half. Second half, here come the Jayhawks. David McCormick gets the rebound and the bucket and one. Then Ochai Agbaji misses the layup here, but it's kicked back out to him for a second chance 3. He nails it. He's got 18 points in the game. Kansas leads here by double digits. 3 minutes to go. Remy Martin finds Mitch Lightfoot. Kansas dominates the second half to win 76-50.
Lid was going to come off eventually, but that was an impressive start of the second half to go from down 6 to tie it in 2 minutes. And then get control of it right after that. So it was nothing anyone said. It was just these guys went out and did it. We had about 2 good plays turned into 4, which turned into 8, which turned into 16. That was about as well as we could play the second half, and these guys earned it. So proud of them, proud for our program. And
Arkansas hit the floor against Duke in the Elite 8 on Saturday. The Blue Devils end the Razorback season, winning 78-69. Jalen Williams led Arkansas with 19 points and 10 rebounds, his 16th double-double of the season. Williams and J.D. Notte were named to the NCAA West Regional All-Tournament team. The Razorbacks finished the season 28-9 overall and make their second straight Elite 8 appearance.
We didn't end the half very well at all, Scotty, and I thought that really hurt us. We took 3 free throws in the first half. When we got to the line, we didn't miss. That's our game. I mean, we're one of the best in the country, and I didn't think we settled tonight at all. So they did a great job, I guess, on verticality.
The NCAA tournament Final Four is set. The games are scheduled for Saturday, April 2nd in New Orleans. In the first game of the evening, number 1 Kansas meets number 2 Villanova. That tips off at 5:09 on TBS. Then Duke hits the floor against North Carolina. These teams split in the regular season, but it's the first time the rivals meet in NCAA tournament history, so it should be a good one. That one is set for Saturday at 7:49. That's a look at sports. A look at the weekend box office is next.
Every number 1 movie loses its title eventually, and it's happened to The Batman. So who's wearing the box office crown now? Sandra Bullock. There's David Daniel with early estimates for the weekend's top 5 films.
The anime adventure Jujutsu Kaisen 0 fell to 5th place in its second weekend in North American theaters, earning $4.6 million. Uncharted is up to $134 million domestic after a 4th place weekend worth $5 million. RRR, a Hindi-language action drama set in 1920s India, opened strong in 3rd with $9.5 million. After 3 weekends on top, The Batman fell to 2nd, grossing $20.5 million for a domestic total of $332 million.
You led me straight to the Lost City. Now, prepare to die.
The Lost City is the new box office champ. The rom-com adventure starring Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum enjoyed a $31 million debut. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Always some good movies to check out. The Lost City does certainly look interesting, and it's fascinating too that it managed to upset the Batman so quickly. I mean, it debuted and just knocked the Batman out.
I would not have expected that at all.
No, because Spider-Man No Way Home lasted on top for what?
Like 50,000 years?
Yeah, it certainly seemed like it. It was just nonstop until the Batman. Yeah. So something else that's nonstop is a few temperature changes, maybe some rain chances.
Yeah, thankfully we'll be back closer to 70 tomorrow. We'll keep skies quiet and dry, but our next storm system we're watching is late Tuesday and Wednesday. Shower storms, some severe, something we'll keep an eye on for the next few days.
All right, Nick, thank you. It's our time for now. We got the morning show at 5 a.m. We're back here next weekend. Thanks for making us part of your night.